was saying, just the pacing is good in the movie, but how it moves towards the end of the movie is a bit flawed. And Nate's negative kind of fleshed that out. Mm-hmm. So with that, we can move on because none of us have any more big negatives. Yeah. This is a good movie. Yeah.
I think these are like interesting possibilities they could have capitalized on. Not like catastrophic plot holes.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I think the themes is going to be probably the most interesting section.
Nate has an interesting view on whether he should have accepted whether she should have accepted the marriage.
Yeah, I didn't think that. I thought that was a bad timing, and I think what we were just talking about is pertinent to that, because if you would have shown me his growth more, I would have, this might be a negative, not to drag us back, but there were some parts of the movie that I found it difficult to root for our main character.
Are you supposed to, I guess, then is the question.
Right, but generally you are supposed to, because when the girl says, yes, I'll marry you, you want the audience to say, yay, and clap. And I kind of find that hard to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely...
But here's the part that I teased earlier.
Relentlessness.
The big question. Yeah, I know that's the lesson there. For all you guys who want to get your dream lead, just keep asking over and over again,
and then do it on stage in front of like 1,000 people
while you're singing a song,
and then it'll happen.
Yeah.
Very good lesson. But I think a really interesting question to ask is: there's a lot of just crap that happened in his life. So much stuff got messed up. So many people got hurt. It was sort of just a really bad situation. And so I think a really interesting question to ask is, what was the principal mistake that started them on this path of just confusion and pain and all of this mess? And I've got an interesting answer, but I want to hear y'all's thoughts on that question.
So him specifically, like what kind of started his rough?
I was going to expand it. Yeah, can we point to a moment where it's like, this is where the mess started?
I think I might be thinking the same thing.
The same thing? Yeah, maybe so.
Okay, so you want to see him, Inigo?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I guess as a whole, not just Johnny.
Just like the whole situation.
I would feel it's like the rejection that his wife shows him.
Okay, maybe? That's interesting.
Like, I'm just thinking in general.
Yeah,
his wife, Vivian, she does not really care about his music career, even though it's like what saved them, basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like he feels a lot of like kind of not hatred, but kind of he does not really like her very much.
Yeah.
How he just feels like she doesn't care about him.
But in a lot of ways, she makes him. It's very understandable how he feels that way.
She's like pretty actively against him.
She says, "Don't tell me about the tour." Like, she doesn't want to talk about him when he's home.
It's all about And on one side of the coin, you could see why she's be a little bit frustrated because he is very distant,
right?
But like then again, like she's also kind of a jerk.
She was kind of nasty before all that. She's not happy in any situation.
I wish they had honestly talking about it, I wish they had a little. This isn't a negative, but I wish they had a little bit more of her backstory, like how they got together.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like she's the girl that he had been, I guess, dating before he went off to the Air Force.
Yeah.
I guess I assume that was kind of their storyline.
That's interesting.
But because you don't have much motivation for her. It's more just she's the wife. But anyways, what were y'all thinking?
I was going to say similarly, like, I think it was her lack of support, which, again, not to say that she has any sort of responsibility for him going and cheating or any of, like, but I think she showed a severe lack of support from a very early point.
Yeah.
And that just caused him to feel like he didn't have any... It made him feel like he had to choose between his music and her. And then when he had this other option of June, where
she appreciated
him, and she was the embodiment of music for him too. So it's like he doesn't have to pick between music and her; it's music and her.
Yeah. That's a really interesting.
And so, like, it was the two most important things in his life, and she was making him choose between them, and that just kind of ruined his trust in their relationship, I think. Which, again, not to say that his mistakes were her fault, but I think her lack of support is what started him down that path.
Okay, so I'm going to point to the moment where this all goes wrong when he decides to promise her everything.
Ooh.
Because...
And then on the phone.
Yeah, on the phone when he decides to promise her everything because she's doubting it, her dad's doubting it, and I think it's because seeing that she's not going to have a great time with him, you know? I think that's her. She's having doubts about how they're going to work together in a marriage. And he patches up this problem by promising her all this stuff, and throughout the whole marriage, that's all she can ever think about is all these promises that he made her. And she doesn't really care about him, but just the promises.
Yeah.
And even when they're fulfilled, it's like that put her in a mindset of looking to him for everything. And that's what started her disrespecting him, which started him feeling unappreciated, which sowed the seeds of discord in their marriage, which made all of this just unleashed. So that's my opinion on that, where the bad stuff, the bad stuff really started. I think he made a bad decision with his first marriage.
That kind of leads to what me and him were talking about, so it kind of connects.
And I think the next interesting question I'd like to ask about this is, like, if we do a quick comparison between Johnny and June, thank you. They had a different mindset on life, obviously, which allowed her to be strong in tough situations and him to crack under tough situations. So what is it that made them so different?
Well, I feel like he, once again, as I think I mentioned this earlier, he views, like, he doesn't take responsibility for anything. Like, he just, like, I just happened to get famous, you know. But then that could be something where he should take credit for something he did, like success, but then he also doesn't take any responsibility for his, like, failures. And whereas she is obviously, like, she does feel responsible for things that she does. I bet that's a big one. To me.
Any thoughts on that?
I think he's always thinking about the present, and she thinks to the future.
That's a good one.
Because he's just looking for. That's why that's why anyone gets caught up in addiction. Generally, is the need for instant gratification,
right?
And you can't overlook the instant gratification to look towards the future. So she was able to help him out of his tough situations by looking towards a better future. Bailey, what are your thoughts?
I think the big difference between them, and this is what's going to carry to my theme that I'm going to pull out of this, which is probably not even what they intended to do, but I think a big theme of this story is actually parenting. Because I think the big difference between her and him is their parents.
That's a good point. I didn't think that.
Especially their dads. Because his dad, very explicitly, is a total just jerk and destroys his self-confidence. And what that leads to is Johnny constantly looking for someone to give him what he lost back. And so he constantly looks to these women to fill that hole he lost with his dad. And so he's super dependent emotionally. Whereas she has like a hole. She has this strong dad, and it's not explicitly stated, but you can see it constantly. Like when she made that comment about when she was teaching him to fish, she said, just like my daddy taught me. He took her fishing. And he was there to scare that guy off with the shotgun. Clearly, he made
and the mom.
And her mom.
That scene, honestly, which kind of. So basically, Johnny's plug shows up with his drugs. He's walking down the stairs, and he's like, "Oh shoot!" And then he just walked back up the stairs by the dad with a shotgun, and then then her mom also has a hand out there with a gun.
Yeah, it was honestly like it was pretty funny. But honestly, it was a pretty powerful scene too, because it was showing them stepping up and filling in his hole of parenting, and they were going to be there to protect him.
Exactly. But interesting was his mom was kind of just really passive. Like I thought that at the beginning she was really caring towards him, but then her character kind of disappeared. Like I don't know if she just lost that
helplessness.
She just kind of becomes passive as the movie moves on. At the beginning, she was definitely like that. She had a really caring relationship with him, but that definitely changed.
So I think that's the big difference.
That might have been another thing. Like he lost. Like his dad didn't care about him, and his mom ultimately didn't really care about him either.
And so I think he's got that whole. And then I hinted at this earlier, but he's got a faith that he doesn't. Also, it's really powerful whenever she brings him to church.
And then she holds his hand, and then her dad holds his hand.
Exactly.
Too. I thought that was really.
That was cool because they were
really
adopting him into their family, and I think that's what allows him to heal.
What's really cool, obviously, what's really cool in addition is the fact that like she, like they both make mistakes.
Oh, for sure.
But like I was saying, like she owns her mistakes.
She does.
He does.
She calls the next morning and says, "We can't do this."
Yeah. The difference is that she doesn't allow the mistakes to define her.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Stand away, I'm
I love.
what I do. What defines me.
That's a great scene.
So my theme is actually parenting.
That's great.
My hot take on the Batman Begins scene though is that the scene honestly where they're talking before where she first says it is better.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's it for that.
But I think you're totally right with parenting. I think it was intentional. Like,
But okay.
because there's this one moment, I don't know if y'all caught it, but where he realizes, you can see him realize that he's turning into what his dad was like.
Oh really?
When he comes in angry and drunk and he has the big fight with his wife, and then he sees his daughters crying, and you can see him realize
That's me.
this is what I went through when I was a kid, and that was tough to watch, man.
Yeah, man. That's,
Yeah, that's
I think it's, do y'all have any other themes?
I also, do you want to go and give like our overarching theme?
Yeah, that was mine.
Okay, was parenting.
Yeah.
Parenting. Okay, what was your overarching theme, Brandon?
Overarching
And
theme.
then I'll get mine.
Oh, I wasn't thinking of it while I was talking.
wanna
Do you
go
have one?
first?
I'll think of it.
Yeah, so I guess mine would just be, in addition to the ones I've talked about, which would be like the, taking responsibility for
Yeah,
what
that's
you
a
do.
big one.
That's definitely a big one.
I think it's a big one.
And that probably is my overarching one. Another one I think of would be that's pretty present in the movie is obviously getting like redemption, like getting a second chance, and like what are you gonna do with it, I feel like this is a theme in a lot of movies we've reviewed. Like Alien and Kingdom of Heaven is given a second chance. In this movie, Johnny Cash is given, a second chance at, although Billions kind of in a different way, but Johnny Cash would always pretty much given a second chance.
Yeah.
Like, he probably should have died, with all those drugs he did.
Huh.
But, and also I think we didn't mention, I like how she obviously, like, actively helps him
Yes.
with his drug stuff. Like, she
Flushes
throws away
his
his drugs.
stash
That was just
twice.
really cool.
Twice,
I think a big theme is just how he responds to his second chance. Like he gets so down that he thinks he's nothing. He thinks he should just that he doesn't matter at all. And then she tells him that he does, and that kind of sparks a fire in him and makes him want to to live a better life.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really good theme. That was really well communicated
Very cool.
by the screenwriters.
I think one that I'm thinking of is similar to what I was saying earlier, but like I think one of the big themes was love and like what love really means.
That's a great one. I was considering that as well.
Yeah, because to him, love is just like I want to be with you right now. Like I want you.
Yeah.
And for her, it's like
Yeah,
I
it's
want
something
what's best for you. Like she loves him the whole time, but because of that, she can't be with him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she says like it burns.
Yeah, it burns. Like it hurts. She wants to be with him, but she knows that would
She
not
does
be
the
best
best
for
thing
him.
for him.
Exactly.
Whatever the circumstances.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a cool thing. The contrasting
Yeah.
views, like for him, like since his love is just like physical, but for her it's more of a spiritual, actual deeper thing.
Doing the best thing.
And that was like, what was that one line where he said like, what? Oh yeah, like it was near the end, which one of the times he was asking her to marry him, when he said like, when he said it'll work itself out. It's like for him, he's just like, I love you right now in this moment. Let's make it happen, and it'll work itself out. And she's like, no, we got to work it out first.
And I like the part in that same scene where she's like, no, things don't work themselves out. Other people work them out so that you think they'll work themselves out.
Yep.
It's a good line. Yeah. So
there's one thing I wanted to add as more of a secondary thing, but I think this is a good one, is the value of saying no. Yeah, like
the no factor.
The no factor. I mean, that's something that's really hard for a lot of people, including me.
That is true, yeah.
Including me. Like I have a hard time saying no to people, and folks who are more empathetic, we have this feeling that saying yes to people is good for them, but it's not always. And so, her saying no to him, that many times, I think is actually.
Well, in that case, a lot of times saying no, just to touch on your point, is like means missing out on something you really want to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard.
True.
It wouldn't be hard
That's
if
why
like it wouldn't be hard if saying no didn't hurt sometimes. So you could do it more.
Yeah.
But in this case, she really wants to like be with him, but obviously has to wait until the end.
I just now thought of this, but. Y'all realize how close she came to getting addicted to drugs? Like, the only thing that stopped
was
her
him being addicted.
That's a great point.
We're referring to the scene where they're in the bed after fooling around, and he is like taking, and like he keeps on being like, "You want one?" And he's like, And they puts it in
She
his mouth.
asked for it.
Yeah,
too.
she wanted it. Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
That is a dude. What do you think about
and
that
if
scene?
she had taken it, I bet she wouldn't have reacted
Yes.
the same way the next morning when she was
Yes.
on the phone and she
Yes.
said,
That was like a big turning point.
"Wow."
The only
I never
thing
thought about
that
that.
Great
stopped
point.
her from getting addicted to drugs was his stupid little game that he was
Yeah.
playing that he thought was funny.
Yeah,
And
but the only reason he was playing that game is because he was so
Yeah,
addicted to
yeah.
drugs and he couldn't give it up.
right.
Yeah.
Because you can even see it right after that when she's on the phone and he just pops a few more
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh wow, he really can't stop."
One thing, just one other little negative I wanted to point
Go
out.
for it.
This isn't
Yeah.
negative. It's more just maybe they could have done a little bit more. They do so much good stuff with showing Johnny Cash's like persona and stuff. Honestly, I wish that they had hit a little bit more on like the whole thing about him being like the man in black and like how people like just like gravitated towards his like persona.
true.
Like it shows the persona. I feel like it could have done a little bit more though with
Yeah.
like how people became like so like enthralled with him because he had this like he was just this kind of mysterious dude almost that just kind of came out of nowhere and he wears black. I thought they could have touched on like the kind of the cultural phenomenon around a little bit more. I just thinking about that.
That's fair.
That's not my only other little nitpick on the movie.
Okay.
So
Well,
we talk about like just a little bit about the history surrounding the
yeah,
era.
that's how we can wrap it
Yeah,
up.
that's
yeah.
usually how we
Yeah.
do it. Is there anything? Because obviously that just like I don't know if you're that into like any of the music that was in this era,
Yeah.
but yeah.
If there's any technical aspects. that
Yeah,
you-
like or just like in this history of music, like this era of music, is there anything
Yeah.
that stood out?
It's a really interesting era of
Like
music
50s,
because it's
60s.
because you're coming out of, you could hear a lot of it, especially in people like Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of the blues.
Yeah.
And,
R&B.
and it was a lot of what the actual like score of the movie was
Yeah.
like old school
yeah, like
blues.
the T-Bone Burnett stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like what Johnny Cash would have grown up listening to. You
I just
know?
love that name.
Yeah.
T-Bone Burnett.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, it's a
What a
it's a really interesting style of music, and then you hear it in the early stages, in the
Yeah.
early years of rock and roll with
Yeah,
Johnny
yeah.
Cash and Elvis Presley, and
Yeah, because
all these
Cash was
people.
Cash was
Yeah.
kind of like he wasn't fully rock. He was definitely still more country, kind
Yeah.
of folkish.
but this
But
was in the
it was-
birth of rock and roll,
Yeah,
and
so, yeah.
everything was kind of in that genre at that
Yeah.
point, and then country kind of branched out from there
Yeah.
in a way.
I'm
it was
not saying
kind of-
it mentions Bob Dylan,
Yeah,
Going Electric, which I'm telling you is what a complete unknown is about. That's coming
That'll
out
be
here. Timothy
interesting.
Chalamet playing Bob Dylan.
Interesting. Huh.
Hey man, can
Yeah.
you imagine Joaquin Phoenix playing Johnny Cash?
Yeah, that's a good point. It could
Isn't
be.
there one about
Same
Bob
director.
Marley that came out recently?
That was One
yeah.
Love.
Yep.
I heard
I
that.
didn't
was,
see
I
that.
heard it was okay. It
Yeah.
wasn't anything
There's
special.
been a lot of these movies. There's the Elvis movie.
Elvis.
Bob
The
Marley
Elvis movie was awesome. We should do
Yeah.
that one actually. That one was
Yeah,
good.
that'd be cool.
Austin Butler was
Austin
really
Butler's a great
good
actor.
as Elvis, and Tom Hanks as his.
We
manager.
gotta go call out one of the most legendary parts of this movie,
Uh-huh.
where Elvis Presley just casually offers him chili fries.
Who was the dude that
Yes.
got cast as Elvis? Just
That's a
like,
great
what's your
question.
role? I'm
He's
Elvis
like-
Presley.
Hey, you want some chili
He
fries?
wants to change
See, I didn't know actually historically. I didn't know that he toured with Elvis.
Yeah,
I knew I had heard that he
did
toured with
Googling.
Jerry Lee Lewis and Carl Perkins,
Yeah.
but not. I didn't know he ever toured with Elvis.
Yeah, I did some
Um,
googling while we were watching, and it seems like they portrayed it well. It seemed because in the moment it looked like they were going to be close friends.
Yeah.
I
They
did some
were kind of
googling.
just
It turns out they were just kind of like
Acquaintances.
they
They're-
toured and they were friendly, and they never actually got
They were
close.
kind
They
of
branched off from
acquaintances.
there,
They just kind of.
and I think they did a good job. of
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
that,
I
but-
think for everything I've looked up historically, the movie kind of doesn't. I mean, it's based on autobiography, so it really doesn't stray too much from the history.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some embellishments and stuff they add, but in general, I'm sure it's pretty clean or pretty good when it comes to the historical side of it. And I will say, I just looked up: did he propose to her on stage? That's
Did,
100%
in
real.
Ontario. I saw
Yep.
that while I was
In
googling.
Ontario, Canada. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I assumed that it actually happened. I just had to look it up to make sure because that
Yeah.
seemed very Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened. So
Dang.
yeah.
That's interesting.
What were you thinking that that was something they added?
No.
No.
I mean, I'm not gonna question. I don't know anything.
I'm wondering if that's kind of how it played out because I'm sure there's some recording of that somewhere out
Yes. Yeah.
Because I don't know.
And
He's
also,
a
obviously, he
song,
did.
Yeah,
And
I wonder if that's what she said.
And I think it is an interesting, like, how it is cool that you get to see the path of a tour, kind of. How
Yeah.
it goes all around. Like,
Yeah.
they're in California, then they're in West Virginia.
Yeah,
And it shows them going on the buses and how just... I like how it portrayed the
The buses.
boredom of, like, touring sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, like, they're just, like, trying to get to the next place.
yeah.
And how, like,
Yeah,
tired it
driving.
can be. Like, they're always all just sleeping on the buses and stuff. And also, I think he
Unless-
did a great job of portraying the prison album. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like what he's most known for.
That's true.
And that was just, that scene's my favorite, or my favorite of the music scenes in the movie is when he sings Cocaine Blues. And
That's
those
fair.
guys are just into it, those
They are.
prisoners,
Yeah.
man. And when he shoots the gun, that's just
Yeah.
good stuff. But,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They portrayed the boredom of touring well, unless, of course, you're Taylor Swift and you have 2 private jets. And you just... Yeah.
That's not fun, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have a buddy that I go to school with that he's actually he's doing all online classes next semester, and he's going on tour.
No way.
Yeah, with it, he's being the startup band for another
Opening
country
up
singer.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's going to be the starting band. Or what do they call it? The
Like
opener.
he personally is going to be the
Yeah,
entire band?
him and his band.
Okay, there we go.
That's awesome.
Him and his band.
I was like, just him.
No, him and his band.
Yeah.
That's
They're
really
gonna
cool.
open for this country singer.
That's super cool.
And
That's
I just
super
did
cool.
that. So I'm interested to see his what he has to say afterwards, how it goes.
Yeah.
He's going all over the place. I mean, this guy's not super well known, but he's opening for. But I mean, it's still cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Touring is a certain level of success in the music that not all
You have
people
not
get to.
toured yet.
No, I've never toured. That's the dream.
That-
Hopefully I can get out of college.
What's your Brandon Warren Music? Is that what you have some kind of
Yeah,
channel?
I'm on Instagram.
We got-
Plug
we-
it.
we- yeah, we
I'm
got
trying to
it.
remember my handle.
We gotta let the people
But
know. What are you
pretty
up
sure
to?
it's Brandon Warren _music.
All right, go
It's that-
check him out. Go check him out.
Hopefully, we'll be releasing an original song on Spotify.
Oh,
in the next few months.
So,
So,
that's
yep,
gonna be
yep.
awesome.
There'll be a music video coming out at the same time on Instagram. So
That's so
Really?
cool. You gotta let me know when you
yeah,
drop
it's
that.
pretty great because I had a songwriting class that I wrote the song for, and then I had a video production class that I needed to do a final project video for. So I was like,
One
you know what?
day-
I'm gonna kill 2 birds with one stone.
one
here.
day there's gonna be a movie called Warren.
Yep,
Or,
yep.
or Brenda.
It's one of the lyrics in my song is called it's like
What's a good lyric that would make like a movie title?
Walk the Path. It's in my song. We're making a movie called Walk the Path.
Yes.
It's gonna
Not
be
the
great.
line. Although I think so basically from a historical standpoint, it ends up for the era. It portrayed the era of music pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really seems like
Yeah.
it.
How about
So,
thoughts on like the nitty gritty of the music?
Oh yeah.
It was good.
Just like how they played.
I was impressed with Joaquin Phoenix, man. His voice was great.
Hmm.
His range was great.
Yeah.
Oh my
He
gosh.
got low.
I don't have music
Like,
or
I
anything,
have
but he's like,
I have a low voice, and he hit a note at one point, and I kind of like tried to hit it under my breath while I was watching, and I was like, "Whoa, that's lower than I can." That doesn't normally happen with your average singer. When I don't know.
So I guess to close out the review, since we talked about the history of it a little bit, we can all answer the question: do you walk the line?
do I walk the line? If I'm interpreting what he means by that, I think so.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
for the moment. Although
Yeah, like
I
saying,
think,
what does it mean?
and I think what walk the line when he's referring to. I mean, I see that. Maybe I'm totally misinterpreting
I
this,
think
but I'm
you're
seeing
right.
this as his relationship with his first wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And like him dealing with all of the temptations, and he's saying, because you're mine, I'll walk the line, like this narrow path where I
Yeah,
don't get
that's what I
distracted
was
with everything
picturing.
else. That's what I got from
Yeah.
walk the line.
Yeah,
On
he's
that.
definitely talking about walking straight,
Yeah.
which is interesting because he kind of falls off.
Yeah,
It
well,
does.
I think that song
Sounds
was
like
probably written
but he
pretty,
tried-
yeah.
That,
And it sounds like the song was written to kind of try to like convince himself, you know, like
Yeah.
or at least the way they
Because
portrayed it.
that's a great scene when they're all drunk and June walks in, they're on tour and she gets mad at him, starts throwing beer balls, they get in a fight and she's like, you can't walk no line, and then it leads into that song. But I love that line, like, it ain't about no tour, it's about a song or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's him playing the song and it's
Yeah.
just, I mean that is the name of the movie and perhaps his most famous song. But so yeah, do you walk the line?
I hope so.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
I do
That's
too.
the goal.
That's the goal. But we
Yeah.
all fall off it sometimes.
We're all here, and if you don't like and
Back on the
subscribe,
line.
then you don't walk the line.
Yeah.
The line is there.
So
That's
I
where the
feel-
line
And you
is. The
don't
line
walk
goes
down it.
right through the like and subscribe button.
Exactly.
That's how you walk the line.
Yeah.
So I guess to close out, we can each give our closing thoughts. Just
That would
just
be
sum it up.
excellent.
Yeah.
And then we got to get obviously finally Nate's famous message to the director.
So famous.
Who I forgot to mention, James Mangold also directed Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Interesting stuff.
Just an interesting
Very
range.
interesting. Which honestly,
X-Men.
I liked that movie. I
It
don't know
was
about y'all.
okay.
I didn't see
I was a
it.
fan.
It was alright.
It was fun. It was
It's
fun.
definitely gonna be the last one, I think.
It
But,
should
the
be.
de-aging scene. Was
I thought like it was gonna end with the Last Crusade, bro.
Yeah.
No, we had two more after that.
Dude, Harrison Ford's like 82 now.
Yeah.
There's no way they're making another movie.
Yeah.
I thought he was old in the one with the Russian lady.
I thought-
the crystal ball,
yeah.
the crystal skull one.
I
Yeah,
thought he was
Kate
old
Blanchett,
when
yeah.
like Star Wars: The Force Awakens came out.
Yeah,
And
2015.
Now here we are, like 10 years later.
Yeah, anyway. But Mangold just has an interesting range.
9 years.
That's
crazy.
That's long, 2015. So anyway, Brandon, what are your final thoughts?
Final
Sum
thoughts.
us up.
Great
And your
movie.
rating 1 to 10, right?
1 to
Right,
10.
right.
Ooh.
We might need to change the 1 to 5. You want to change the 1? It's a little bit easier.
Why?
I don't know. We could get 1 to 10.
Yeah, that's the tradition now.
What is
I'm
it? Yeah, we gotta stick with it.
Final thoughts. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Honestly, no major flaws.
Yeah. Just a,
Movie making wise, like at all.
Mhm.
Maybe the slight acting thing I mentioned, but I think I'd give it a solid 8. You know,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
I feel like anything below an 8 means there was a specific major flaw,
yeah, that's true. I agree.
and it was 8 because like it could have been great if they just maybe punched it home a little bit more with the ending.
At the end, yeah.
You know.
The ending's the weak
So,
point.
so that's really what could have pushed it up to a 9 or 10. But I
It's
think
almost
it was a really
It's
solid movie.
almost like they did so good. And there was like they ran out of runtime, and it was
Yeah,
like they couldn't. It was
yeah.
like we can't fully flesh out the ending, but we're gonna put what we have in there.
Yeah,
That was almost what it felt like.
that did.
Yeah,
And I'll go next, and we'll finish with
please, yeah.
you. I would give it. I'll go like an 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a great movie. I hadn't seen bits and pieces of this, but this is my first time seeing it all the way through. I really enjoy it. Joaquin Phoenix is great. Surprisingly, I agree that Reese Witherspoon should have won Best Actress. She was
Yes.
pretty darn
Yes,
good in
She
this
was
movie.
very good.
I mean,
Yeah.
she had great themes to her character. But now Joaquin,
Her
I will
voice, too.
say,
Her voice was great.
I have seen, both of them, their singing voices and performing was great.
And the auto harp. What
The
the
auto
heck?
harp, yeah,
That
yeah.
was so cool.
That's how now we know June Carter Cash wrote Ring of Fire on an auto.
On an auto harp.
If the movie's right.
Google it.
But
That's cool.
anyway, I will say this. So she won Best Actress. I do agree with that now. I did not expect to say that. Joaquin did not win. He was nominated. He lost to a guy y'all actually will know. If you've seen The Hunger Games?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Philip Seymour Hoffman, who played...
Oh.
He actually died before the last one came out.
Did he win it for that movie?
He won. No. He won
Okay,
for
I
a
was gonna
movie.
say.
That's just something that you would... He's in Moneyball. He plays the manager.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was like, he was good, but
He played in a movie called Capote that
Oh.
year. This movie came out. He won. That's a good movie. I've seen it. He did a really good job. Joaquin though might should have won. He did a good job, but it's a toss up. I can't choose. But Reese
Yeah.
should have won. She deserved that one.
that's fair.
Didn't expect to say that. And all the production quality was good. Great direction, really good screenwriting. I liked how I think especially the screenwriting was impressive because of the source material. Hard to adapt biographies into a movie, I would think. But so they did a great job. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10. All right, Nate's message to the director, James Mangold.
James Mangold. Is he alive or dead?
He's alive.
He's alive.
Because
He's
he
right-
directed
yeah,
the movie like last year or so.
I made that mistake one
He
time.
had several that he
That's
thought
true. That
that
would be unfortunate.
with Chariots of Fire, with the director,
Oh,
he started
no.
talking about him, and then he was like, I was like, he's dead.
Don't
You're
speak
right,
ill
look it
of the
up.
dead.
Anyway, James Mangold.
To the very alive James Mangold. Well, you directed a movie better than I could. And the music was really great. And you built this huge platform with a rocket on it. And it was all very beautiful, but you needed to just let the rocket fly
Yeah.
because there was a lot of potential to land the ending with even more impact. I feel like it was a missed opportunity, but the rocket is beautiful, my man. It should be in a museum for sure.
Yeah.
If not flying, at least that.
Good.
Pretty impressive that he wrote the movie. He wrote the screenplay.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
wrote it.
Yeah.
I always think I mentioned this. I always think it's cool when directors write their own projects. Like I've listened to a lot of Quentin Tarantino interviews. He's a writer director, and he talks about how like there is a difference when you write your own thing. Like you could be a great director and you're out there picking scripts, and they're still great directors, but there is a difference when you write your own thing.
I think that whenever directors write their own script, they're more invested in the story.
Yeah, that's what
they
I'm
have
saying.
a better vision for what they want.
You really have the full vision because you came up with the whole thing.
So I'm gonna give the movie a 7.9.
Oh, good.
Because I agree with
That's
Brandon.
That's
but it gets 0.1 points deducted because Johnny Cash did not accept the chili fries.
Oh no!
So true.
That is a big mistake.
That's a huge mistake.
That's a
I
massive
take it back. That's a 7 for me.
That's the whole point.
He didn't accept the chili fries, and so it has to
James
be a
Mangold,
7.9.
why did you not have him accept
That's
the
our
chili
new
fries?
message to the director.
One word was missing from your script. Yes.
Are they sure, buddy? And they're just eating some chili fries.
Yeah, sure, buddy. In parentheses, he eats the chili fries.
Chili fries from Elvis.
And then I would have loved like a line from him
Oh,
saying,
God.
"Man, these chili fries are really good." Just
yeah. Or he takes the chili fries and he's like, thank you very much. Or like,
So
something.
James, so you're saying that James missed out with that.
Yeah, I wanted to give
And
it
hold on, we forgot. James Mangold and his co-writer Gil Dennis.
Gil Dennis.
Can't forget him.
Gil,
We can't forget him.
We didn't forget about you,
I
Gil.
wanted to
Don't
give
worry.
it an 8, but the chili fries just weren't there, so I have to give it a 7.9.
That's fair.
Oh, come
Can't
on,
argue with
Gil. You should have overrode James there.
Yeah,
Let's be
Gil.
honest.
Stand up for yourself.
The artistic decision.
I do think. Hold on. I do think Gil died.
Oh.
Rest in peace, Gil. Moment
Moment
of
of
silence.
silence.
Yeah, for Gil.
All right.
Well, everyone, this has been an episode of Let's Talk Movies.
Brendan Warren.
Be sure to go and check out Brandon's song dropping soon to the 3 people who watch this channel.
Yes.
And we'll be seeing
It's
you
like,
soon.
it's like 4 cents on Spotify.
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
See y'all.
See ya. Peace.
You got that?